It's going live right now.
Okay, just a second. I'm joining officially on my computer. And then your screen share. Sorry, it's kind of dark right here, but I don't really want you to see my face anyways, so. Okay. Alright. It's kind of a short presentation, but it's really cool, I think. So, we'll just get started. So I'm reviewing Java Objects. It's like the third time we reviewed it. Um, and this stuff was new to me, but I think I might have missed the last JavaScript, so I don't know if I'm repeating this or not. But it's really cool, and I think it could be really useful for this project. So basically, JavaScript objects, like I was introduced to JSON before it was JavaScript objects, and so it just looks exactly like JSON to me. And I think JSON was created to look like JavaScript objects so that it can be easier read through JavaScript, and so that's the reason why they look alike. So basically what you can do is you can create an object. This one's a person, and it has each of these variables that are assigned to that object, and you can create just by entering person dot first name, which would be John. So and I'll show you how that's used in a second too. The coolest thing, the thing that I found that I just want to focus on and present really quickly is just that you can assign a function. Instead of a variable, you can enter a function in there to attach to objects. So it's kind of like writing a class all in one piece. So it's all in one object. It's just entire class. So that's what I did here. I just made it so, because normally you can just return person.firstname, but I wrote this function, which I found in W3 Schools, that you can return the first name and the last name as one function. And so just person.fullname, and it will list the name one after another. So it certainly shortens your code. So if you have like a bigger project, creating an object can save you a lot of coding time for sure. And it's probably more accurate that way too. So let's see. So that's the end of my project or presentation, and I'll show you what I did with it. Um, First, I'll show you my code. So I created some tables, a before and after table, and the before table displays, it will display these names, and so there's John Doe and Jane Raleigh, and they're going to get married. And so Jane Raleigh needs her name changed. And so the first table is going to show their names and their age and their eye color. And I could have gone on, but I just kind of left it at that. And then I created a function, first of all, the one I showed you, which can display the full name, which makes it so I can easily display it. But you guys saw that function already. Then I created another function, and you can add that separately. It doesn't have to be within the object line. And I added this function. I've entered person.prototype.changeName, which is a new function, and then I'm going to enter a name to return last name equals new name. So it's going to change the last name. And that's what I did after the first table that shows their original names, and then they get married, and then it's my mother.changeName Doe. So Jane Raleigh changes her name to Doe. And so I will show you how that looks right here. So here's their original names. Before they were married, just says John Doe, and then their full name using the full name function to present their names. And then Jane Raleigh becomes Jane Doe on the bottom here because she married John Doe. And it does the same thing in the function below. So hopefully this can show you like the possibilities of how you can enter functions like really quickly, all in one object without having to create like a separate class or anything. I thought it was really cool, and like I just can't wait to use it really. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions?
No, that's pretty sweet.
Looks good.
Cool. Well, that's my presentation. So.
Well, thanks, James. No, that's really nice how it combines functions. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so Adam, Megan, or Kevin, who's next?
I can go next.
All right, go ahead, Megan.
Okay. I'm just going to share my whole screen so I can go back and forth. Alright, so I have some code that I created, but I also have a PowerPoint presentation to step through everything, because this stuff was, like, yeah, anyway. Alright, so, with the play. Stupid PowerPoint. Okay, yeah, anyway, from beginning. Alright, and y'all can see it all right?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so this is kind of like, this is honestly just from W3 Schools, and this is the basic code that I'm going to be explaining with this presentation. I have my own code that I'll show in a minute, but this is just from W3 Schools because I wanted to like go super basic with my explanation because Ajax was really something new for me, and I'm trying to learn it. Anyway, okay. So the main things that are important is you of course have the ID demo that's going to be changed, and you're going to on-click to the load doc function, which is in here, and I'm going to pretty much be stepping through each of the code and how to use it within this load doc. So to begin with, you have the new XML HTTP request. This makes a new XML HTTP request object for all modern browsers. However, there are the IE6 or like Internet Explorer 6 and Internet Explorer 5 browsers that don't support it. So they have they have a different line of code that would work for it, rather than like using that one. So that would be like new ActiveX object, and then you have to put Microsoft.xml HTTP in quotations in order to make it work for the old Internet Explorer. And this is actually the code that W3 Schools created to make it work. So you can check with the window.xml HTTP request and find out whether it's those old browsers or not. And if it passes this, then it goes ahead and uses the new XML HTTP request for modern. If it doesn't, yeah.
Do we care about IE6, 5, and 6? I mean, that's like 7, 8, 9 versions ago.
I mean, the reason I would care is simply I wouldn't want to alienate any users.
See, well, I know at my work, if they want us to code for older browsers, we charge them extra. Like, because they're so old and outdated that if they want us to use all this extra code to go with these old IE6 versions, we charge them extra for it because it's like we're going out of our way for a very small percentage of people who aren't willing to upgrade their browsers. It seems kind of, stupid, but yeah. So people sometimes they will, and they'll pay for it. But
that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, our vendors at work, because we do a lot of web-based stuff, they say, sorry, we were on 9 for a long time because there was a problem with IE10. Mm-hmm. And anyway, they said, okay, now we're moving to 11, and we're not supporting 9 anymore. And now Salesforce says we don't even support IE11 coming up, so we got to move on. Anyway.
Gotcha. Well, this is a quick check you can do if you ever need to. All right. So as for the open, and then like what the different thingamajigs in it, because I'm freaking blanking. Anyway, so the first one's always going to be the method. So there's going to be get or post. Which type of request are you using? and then you have the URL, the file that you're grabbing, and then the whether it's asynchronous or not. And then you're going to send it, which is the send is used for get, and the send string is used for post. I have even W3 Schools doesn't really have anything separate. They just use send, so I'm not really sure what that's for. I'm sure you guys do, but I could not figure out when you would actually use send string, even though they say it's for post. They just don't have anything different from send. But okay, so you can use any .text, .xml, PHP, .asp files when you're doing this to grab and to alter if you want to alter it. The asynchronous is important. It was created in order to, it allows JavaScript to execute other scripts while waiting for the response, and thus it makes it so that JavaScript doesn't hang or stop as much as it used to. And you can put so asynchronous is always going to be true in that, but you can use false. They said there's a few operations that you might use false. I'm not sure what those are, but generally you're going to use true if you don't want your JavaScript to hang or stop, because accessing other servers can be really time consuming and can hurt your JavaScript if you don't use the true. All right, so this is a couple of examples with that. When you mark it as true, you have to use this on ready state change function event, because this is where it checks to see whether when the response from the server is ready. If you mark it as false, there's no need for it, so you can just use that document.get element by ID. You don't add the on ready state change event if you mark the asynchronous as false. The advantages of get versus post. Get you're generally going to use because it's faster and simpler, but they recommend using post if you're ever sending a lot of data, or if you're just doing if it's really personal or secure data. To get a response from the server, you have to use the response text or response XML. So response text is basically if you want to get it back in a string format, and XML if you want to get it back in XML data. And there's a couple of examples. I didn't really go into XML, but there's a couple of examples here that if you want to, if you're doing XML and how to parse it and all that. It's not something I really went into when I did my code, but I wanted to show the examples anyway. So I thought this was actually kind of cool, and it explained to me why it doesn't have to reload the page. The on-state ready change event is what's triggered every time the ready state changes. So if anything changes on your page, this is what's triggered, and it's why you don't have to reload with Ajax. So it stores the function to be called automatically when the ready state property changes. And the ready state property, which this was really interesting to me, the reason it says if the ready state is equal to 4 and status is 200 is because 4 is when the request is finished and the response is ready, and 200 is when it's okay versus 404, which is page not found. So that's why it asks that before it sends back the response text. Okay, so that was kind of my basics. I have some code to share. Do y'all have any questions about what I just went over, though? I'm sure you guys are actually probably already know all that, but it helped me. And I'm gonna post it. Okay, let me just find my. Okay, so this is my little site. This is my code that I created for it, and so you can do why the chicken crossed the road, and then you click it, and it doesn't have to reload and to get to the other side. So this is my code for it that I made, and I have, of course, the div ID, which is the answer, and I go ahead and set up that var HTTP variable, and then I check it against it. So if it's going to be that, if it's a modern browser, then of course that variable is going to be a new XML HTTP request object, otherwise ActiveX for those really old ones if we want to check that. All right, so and then you have the on ready state change function, which it's going to check whether it's 4 or 200 and 200, and if they're okay / ready, it's going to send back the response text from my file, which, so the ID's right here, and then moving on, I have that XHTTP open, and this is where it's going to open the file, which, so get, and this is my chicken answer text, I'll pull that. And you need, oh, another thing about that, like, you need to make sure, like, it's on the right page. So this is my little .text file that I grab, and sends it back to the answer question, and click, and then answer. Does that make any sense? I know I went over the basics.
You can't eat with us, right?
But yeah, that's basically everything.
What if you wanted to pull a different answer or something? So your text file contains, one answer. What if your text file contained a bunch of things and you only wanted to pull out one item?
You are absolutely able to do that. That's not something I had time to code.
Okay.
But they actually, you don't even, Ajax even allows, you don't even just have to pull anything. You can even like manipulate the code with whether you do PHP, ASP, or like database stuff. You can also manipulate the code, and W3 Schools, and I'm going to actually mess with this this week, and I'll probably post the code too. But it allows you to go in and say this is the. Let me pull up their example. But so in this case, they actually are pulling specific code. So they're saying they're doing suggestion. They did a suggestion thing where it pretty much says input type text, ID is text1, show hint on this on key up. So when they do the first name, it's immediately doing this function, show hint this dot value, and it's going into the show hint and string dot length. It's checking to make sure that the string is not 0, and then it goes into on ready state change. But I believe, and then in this xhttp.open, this is where I believe it is. You're grabbing it with the get, and the get hint.php, and this queue is this queue, I believe, is, I couldn't, they explained it, but I really couldn't understand it. But this question mark queue is what is the variable, and you're adding the string, and it's manipulating, and it's grabbing it according to the string, which is the variable from here. So you are able to manipulate it. I haven't quite figured it out, and you can grab specific things. I just need to play with it more. I'm probably going to play with it in PHP, because I've done PHP way more. Unless I should, are we doing ASP more for our website? Is that something? Because I was looking through these, and I wasn't sure which one I should actually experiment with, whether it's PHP or ASP. Or XML. Anyway. But yeah, you're absolutely able to do that. Any other questions?
Were you able to get to access a database through Ajax?
They have this They have this on W3 Schools here. It was basically though, because I was trying to figure out how it was really a database access, but all I could really tell is it seems to work pretty much the same as a regular one where you're just doing a get and then that, but they do go a little bit more into it.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit more complicated because there's the request to the database to handle and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more complicated, but the basics stay the same. from what I can tell.
Okay, what's the link to the page? Because I can barely see it on my phone.
I'll send it to you.
Let me go.
I'll post it.
Thanks.
Yeah, this website has honestly been my best friend for this class. Any other questions?
No, thanks, Megan. You did a good job. And a lot of the questions that you had are the same questions I had when I did it.
I'll post my code and all that, of course, in my PowerPoint as well.
All right, Adam or Kevin, who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
All right. So, we've learned a lot about JSON and how it works, and I'm like, I'm going to show something different that we didn't know, and I couldn't find it. I did. I don't know if anybody watched my video, but I think it was Tyler that did JSON and pulled it with Ajax last week, and we pulled it out of that other Google page, and we had all the stuff in there. I went over that and how that works, and so then I thought, if I just go back to basics and at least make sure that everybody understands it, and I actually learned something that I didn't know before. So I'm just going to use Codecademy to go through and show us the structure of it. And again, it is a lot like the JavaScript object that we already saw. So I'm just going to be real quick with it, since most of you guys already know it. So inside your JSON, you have objects, and just like real-life objects, each of these things has attributes or values. So if you had a car, you would have the color, and it's red, and you have, the number of doors would be 4, and the type of engine would be a V6 or a V8 or whatever. But your base object is the car. So here we have this variable called club member, and its first name is John, last name is Doe, member status is full. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about was JSON. What JSON does is it serializes all of your information into a way that's easier to transmit and then can be deserialized later on. So it just makes it, I guess, more lightweight or easier to transmit, and then you can pull the data out from it later. So if we wanted to add some information about our club member here, we could add city. Using the colon, we'll say that the city that they live in is, I can spell, Portland. And then each of these has to be separated by a comma. So we'll throw a comma in there, and then we'll just alert club member dot city. So when you're calling these back out, like when I'm going to alert it here, everything that's between this curly bracket, or between this word, everything that is separated between this object and its variables or attributes, everything that's separated by this curly bracket is now separated using the period, just separating it with a dot. And like we looked at presentation earlier, where you can do another function inside of there, and it would have its own curly bracket. Every time you hit a curly bracket, it's another dot. So I could say, I could add another, I could add family here. I could spell. and then I could add more attributes to that family, or more attributes to that family. So you can get deep in. So then it would be club member dot family dot daughter, and then pull that variable as well. But what I'm looking for here is just to alert the club member city, and then it alerts it there, shows that it's in Portland. So move on to the next one. There's just 5 here. So what we're going to do is so here we have this variable Mary, and then here's all of her attributes, and this is in JSON. And what we're going to do is we're going to parse it out into a variable called object Mary. And then what we can do is we can change this variable in here of age, and we can say, okay, let's change the age now. We're going to update the text that we parsed out, and we're going to update her age to be 39 instead of 36. So when I hit it over here, then you can see that the age output is 39, and then it also would update that code if this were live code and able to be changed. The next one is called Stringify, where we basically are creating JSON encoded string of an object, and the object here is Mary again. We're creating her as a new object, and then here are her attributes, so her height, age, and eye color. And then to serialize that, I'm going to output into the console over here on the right side, this little black screen. We're basically going to stringify Mary. So if I submit that, oh no, something went wrong. Well, it used to work. Reset it. Now I can't get past it. And I don't know what they did. I wasn't even supposed to do anything on this page. Well, that didn't work. Anyway, what it's supposed to do is take this whole object right here and then turn it into the string that we're used to seeing, this right here. It would have taken all of that stuff and basically turned it back into that.
One thing, Kevin, maybe
Yeah.
console.log is not a JavaScript function, but like a jQuery or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, okay, well, there did it. Yeah, it's so
I
funny.
had this problem several times. It happened to me quite often to try to log something into the console and getting this same error. I
Gotcha.
still haven't figured out the actual reason for it, but yeah.
Yeah, when I was in here earlier, it totally worked. So hopefully this one will go better. So again, this is changing the data that's in the string. So right now, this conference, the start day is Monday, the next day is Tuesday, and the end day is Wednesday. And we can pull out. So here in the conference, we're looking for the end day, and we're going to change it to Thursday. And then it changes it to Thursday. That's what it displays over in the console log, which means that we did it correctly. We can also change it to Friday and submit it again. So basically, it's taking the data that's there and putting this back into it, replacing that Wednesday with this Friday. And then the last one is something that we've seen with the JavaScript objects. This is something that Megan showed us like the very first week, is you can build your user information, your username, city, system, and then I added feeling on how they're feeling about certain things, and then you can create your sentence from there. So your user, which is your username, is located in this city and uses this system, but she is her feeling about it. So when I submit it, And of course it doesn't work again. Oh, it's that console log thing that's throwing it off. How weird. There it goes. User Laura123 is located in New York and uses Linux, but she is uncomfortable about it. That's it. So yeah, there's different ways that you can manipulate the information in there, and those are some more of those ways. That is all I got. Let me get rid of the mirroring effect. There we go.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Honestly, I think that was one of the better explanations. I feel a little more like of real life explanations of how it works. If that makes sense. But like it seems like that those are a little more applicable. The examples you were giving, being able to change things out and taking the user's information. So that was great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Adam.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, well, we'll see how well this goes. I've been battling bad bandwidth the entire time, so. And please tell me I was supposed to do the local storage, right?
Sure.
Yes, you were.
All right.
Sorry, I keep answering and forgetting I'm on mute. Yes, that's the right.
It's one of those days. I did a little bit. I've been messing around with it. What I wanted to do, I wasn't able to completely do, so I kind of had to go back a few steps to where I had it at least working. And with local data, you're able to do multiple things with it. Oops, ignore that. It's my nerdy side of me. So I'm working on a big page, kind of creating everything all together, putting a whole bunch of different programming usage together. And what I was doing with the local storage is this right here, this get element, and then of course set element as well, which you can see right here in the function save. So what I have my local data storage doing right now is that the user will type in down here. Oh, here, let me just show you the preview page. That might make it a little easier. I have that open right here. So what the user is going to do, and into this save storage right here, and eventually what I'm trying to get to work on is to have it, once you type something in, is that it's going to then populate into this banner field right here and save it as a local storage. But like I said, I had to go back a few steps and just at least save it into local storage itself. So when you click on save, whatever you do, or whatever you type in there is going to go into this to your local storage, whereas you can see right here under the value, it saved properly, it saved the text. If we go back to the code itself, that's this function save right here that was able to do that for us. Document get element ID, so it went and got the element, which if you look right here, it's the insert text. And if you look down here, the input text or input type is insert text. So it's grabbing whatever gets put into that field and saving it into its local storage. And then what it does from there is that it's going to load that insert text right here, because it's letting us know that if the stored value has anything in there, it's supposed to populate whatever's in that insert text. If we go back here, we can see it works by simply refreshing the page, and sure enough, it's still sitting right there. I was really interested because local storage, you can do a lot more than I thought you could with. As you know, it replaces what cookies were doing, and cookies were really unsecure, and so users didn't really like them that much. What local data does is that it's a more secure way of saving data onto a browser. The other benefit about it is that not only is your web page going to load faster and remember your username, pictures, and anything like that, is that it also has bigger storage. I believe it's storage of 5 megabytes compared to what cookies were, which I think were like 1 kilobyte to 4 kilobytes. So you can store a lot bigger files now using the local storage. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for local storage. There's not too much into it. It's just figuring out your getters and setters for the most part.
Well, I think it's really cool that you showed the like this other screen showing that it's actually storing it. The first time I've seen it like that, and so it's kind of neat to show, hey, this is how it works, and it's actually storing it right there. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, if you use Chrome, you can actually just go to your more tools, and then go to developer tools. And this is one of the options is under resources. You can see your local storage and what's being stored, so you know it's working for. I was battling where it would save it, but I was having trouble with it repopulating it when I refreshed the page or went back into it.
Okay. So yeah, I've used developer tools, but I haven't really tested it with local storage, and that's pretty cool to see that it's actually working and it's storing it.
I cheated. I saw a YouTube video. I was like, oh, hey, that's where it is.
That's pretty sweet.
And was that YouTube video done by a 12-year-old? Because that's what I run into all the time.
Seriously?
Yeah, 12-year-old from India. You know, that's where it normally is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised they're giving us their secrets.
Love it.
No, but I love the local storage. It's really good. I'm just trying to. I want to get to where it's going to save the text plus also the background color because I think I'm still screen sharing. If you look just real quick, what I have it doing is out your background for your banner, and I want to save whatever it was that the person last did. So that way when it reloads, it's going to be exactly the same.
Oh, that's cool.
10 hours wasn't enough.
That's cool. Okay, so I think that's all our presentations. So now we're done with presentations for the rest of the semester. So now when we start meetings, we'll be coming together to see, okay, what's been done for the week, what needs to be done for the next week. Do we need to make any modifications, and just kind of see where we're at on the app. So everyone, hopefully, especially if you guys have your back-end meeting, will know what they need to be working on before the next meeting. We'll bring it to the next meeting, see where we're at, see what we can do next, and just discuss all of everything that's going on and anything needs to be changed. So.
Okay.
Sounds good.
How many weeks do we have left?
So let me have the final calendar.
I believe it's 4. I think it's what Brother James just.
Yeah, so it's due the week of the 13th of July. So I kind of did like a little breakdown in the Google Doc of just like things I thought should be done by each week. But again, order can change. But basically, like by the week of the 6th, I'd like to have it pretty much done so that we can do any final revisions. And that way, by the time we had it in the next week, it's good. It's great.
Sure.
Oh. All right. So, go ahead, Megan.
I'm sorry, it makes sense to me.
Okay. So, if anyone has any questions, we'll plan a meeting next week. Bring everything that you guys have worked on, and we'll discuss it and see where we're at, and then make a plan for the next week.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Later.
see you. Have a good night.
You too.